Hello and welcome to Rule of Three's video review for Crysis 3, a first-person shooter from Crytek and published by EA Games. With us from Texas is Synyster Dreamer. How are you doing?
Not too bad, besides being 2 hours ahead of you guys.
Yep. And
How's
hmm?
how's the future? How's the future look?
Dark.
Alright. And Impressions is with us, as you could already tell.
He's stuck in the past.
Yep, stuck in the past with me. So, sorry for the feedback. Like I said, Synyster is out of state and using a not his usual mic, so if you hear feedback, that's why. But we're glad to have him with us.
Yeah, because it wasn't planned on doing this when I was on vacation. But, hey.
Yeah, sorry about
Here.
that.
We get
Sorry.
vacation. What? We get vacation from Rule 3?
No vacation time. Okay, so anyway, so we're gonna be doing Crysis 3, and like always, we always kind of give our backgrounds with any type of like sequel or anything. So for Crysis 3, it's the third game in the series of Crysis. I've only played the second one. That is the only one I have played, and it was okay. It wasn't as great as some of my friends were making it out to be, but you know.
You beat it?
Yeah, I beat it, but I just kind of did it just to say I did. I didn't really care for it, but it was okay. Synyster, how about you?
I've played and beaten 2 and 3. 1 I got about, I think, partway through before I put it down and never went back. But I've at least played all of the games.
You like 2? How were your feelings towards 2 and 1?
2, 1 set the game up. 2 was like, okay, you're still fighting off the 2 sets of enemies, so it's like, okay. And then 3 just basically really wrapped it up and made the game finished, basically.
Right. And we'll get into that in a minute. And Impressions, what's your history with the series?
I'm in the same boat as Roy. I actually did play 2 and beat it. I was like you. People were telling me that it was an awesome game, that I should try it, so I tried it. I was drawn in enough to play through the whole thing, but I wasn't blown away. But it was okay. It was a solid game.
Okay, so with that, we're now going to actually start talking about Crysis 3, and we're going to start by talking about the story elements. The story of Crysis 3 obviously takes place after 2. You are Prophet, a super soldier in a very awesome high-tech suit, and your goal is to stop aliens from taking over the world and it's Cell organization, right? I want to make sure I get this right.
Yes,
Oh,
Cell.
yes.
Yeah, Cell from basically taking over the... Also, stop them from taking over the world.
Oh, excuse me.
So, like Synyster said, this one does wrap up the storyline of all the other games. And in terms, at least in my opinion, like I said, I never got really drawn into the story from 2, and this one didn't do much better, as I just kind of didn't care for the story. I don't know why, it's just, I just couldn't get into it. Synyster, you?
Well, the story for this game wasn't too bad. Honestly, it wasn't something that drew me in. It was just the fact that, future, possible, hey, we get our hands on alien technology and try to use it for ourselves, and it backfires on us. That kind of stuff. What drew me in was just the fact that, it's like you're a super soldier trying to play kind of like God, but still trying to be human at the same time.
Impressions?
I wonder if it's because we didn't play 1, you, Roy, and myself, that we didn't care for the story. But I'm the same way. I played 2 for the gameplay, 1 to try 3 for the gameplay, but the story was never a factor as far as motivating me to play it. I feel that there was a very poor transition between 2 and 3, even though there was that option at the beginning to look at what happened previously on Crysis, but it fell short. No, there's just something missing about it, in my opinion.
Okay. So that's it for story, because we don't want to spoil any of the games, so... But at least we gave you our feelings on how we felt about it. So we're going to get into the gameplay aspects, and we're going to start off with probably the biggest gameplay aspect of this game, which is one of the reasons it's kind of well known, is the suit in its many, many modes. So the suit has its normal mode, kind of a speedrun mode, a armor mode, and a stealth mode. And you can interchange between these by pushing buttons. Armor mode, you take less damage. Stealth mode, people can't see you, so you can kill them silently. And then normal mode, if you hold down a button, you can run a little fast. You can like sprint and slide and do a bunch of other fun stuff. For me, the suits, I don't know. I try doing stealth because that's the way the game tries to get you to do more stealth than anything else before you go to armor, and I just can't do it in this one versus like Dishonored. Armor mode, I don't know. Armor mode I wish lasted a little longer, and I took a little, it did a little. I could notice the damage mitigation a little bit more because I don't. So I don't know. I like the idea of the suit. I just never, for me, it just never really came together fully. At least when I'm playing it. Synyster?
Well, the suit is, for me, it worked fine. It's the fact that, okay, stealth, go around, take out 1 or 2 enemies before, all hell blows through and you're having wave after wave of enemy. Armor was, okay, well, there's a turret around the corner. Well, I can armor up, take out that turret, and move on. It was a lot of the suit was just basically a spot situation. It wasn't meant for long endurance. It was just, okay, quick, armor up, kill the turret, or stealth and kill the next couple targets. That was about it. It was mostly just a lot of you just kind of move through the game, spray and pray, and kill the enemies.
Okay. So sorry about the staticky for those listening. Like I said, it's hard with the mic we're using for Synyster. Impressions?
The suit, again, for all the points that the story mode did not have, the gameplay really does make up for it. I believe it is worth playing just to, get a feel for the suit. And I do feel there is a bias leaning towards stealth, partly because armor mode, in my opinion, doesn't hold you, doesn't keep you alive long enough. In my head, if I were to turn on armor mode, I should be able to withstand a hail of bullets. Maybe that happens later on with all the upgrades, but very early on, it's limited as far as what you can survive. Then again, I guess the assumption is you are killing them in the process, so even if you are taking damage, you presumably kill them at a faster rate. But like Roy, I feel there was just something about it just never resonated well with me, so that I could never really enjoy the suit. I think it's because I was so easy to kill once I get spotted. I don't know. I don't know if the AI in the game was just that smart or what. So yeah.
I don't know. I had the same problem. I said
Well, like the second you turn off stealth, they spot you. Like no matter where you are in the map, it's like you hide behind a corner just to charge it, and then they all see you. It's like, oh, there he is. It's okay. You can turn it back on in like 10 seconds, and then they forget about you.
Okay.
Which is whatever.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the next part, which is obviously the weaponry of the game. Basically, you can pick up guns. There's upgrades that you can get for the guns that allow them to, silencers, extra club stuff like that. And, you can customize your guns to, whatever play style you are. And then they also added the bow. The bow is very useful. I love the bow.
It's fun. It lets you do stealth.
So with that, normal weaponry, if you played the previous ones, it's pretty much the same deal. I do like the customization system a lot better in this one. And then the bow is probably the most overpowered weapon I had in this game, at least when I was playing. And just because it keeps you in stealth mode, if you fire a regular gun in stealth, it'll take you out and they'll blip you and they'll see you. Whereas the bow, that doesn't happen. And I would just sit back and pick them off with the bow and arrow. And I love the bow. That's probably one of my favorite parts of this game was just the bow and arrow. Synyster?
Yeah, talking about the bow, that was one thing that when this game got announced and they're like, hey, we're going to add in this bow, and it's like, okay, this is kind of cool, because the fact that how the game kind of got set up for, how the place you're in is overrun like a jungle, the bow works. It's like, okay, stealth around, kill people. It's just you had to make sure you kept track of where those arrows landed with the tracker and go pick those back up, because you usually ran across very little ammo caches for bow and arrow.
Yeah. What was your feeling about the normal guns and the customization stuff for that one?
Normal guns were the normal guns from the series. The customization was a lot better done this time around, where you can actually interchange instead of having to go through a mess interface to figure it out. It was just, okay, hold this button down, there you go. now you have access.
Okay. Impressions?
Back to what I said about the game favoring stealth. The bow is another reason that is the case, because you fire the bow and you don't break your invisibility. That was a recurring mechanic you had to deal with in 2. I presume also in 1, where you had to, if you're trying to stay hidden, you would have invisibility on. You would disable it, fire, and then put the invisibility back on. That would be what you would do constantly, and that would be how you maintain stealth throughout throughout 2 at least. That still obviously can be a strategy in 3, but with the bow, there's no reason to do that strategy unless you're out of bullets, obviously, or unless you're out of arrows, obviously. So that was yet another reason why I felt it leaned towards stealth. As far as the normal weapons, I really do like the customization, the on-the-go. Like, you can switch what is attached to the gun, like, in real time. The game doesn't pause for you to do that. I really feel they should have kept that for the suit, because that's how the suit was customized in 2, where you had I think it was your left hand, and you had power-ups connected to your suit there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those 2 features would have worked really well. Like, you could customize the gun in your right hand, and then you could modify your suit with the left. But I guess they just decided to go for a simpler, suit upgrade system.
Yeah, they definitely tried mainstreaming more in this one.
Yeah, well, the suit upgrade was a lot different. It was actually more centralized, because you had ways to unlock more, and they became like.
It was a loadout setup. You chose
loadout. Yeah, you chose a loadout that you wanted, and then the more you used that setup, the more it would unlock a better perk for a certain thing, and then you can just customize it from there and go, well, I like this one and this one and this one, and that was your loadout.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I remember in 2 you could just accumulate whatever power-ups you wanted, and then you can respec at will, which was fine. But they sped up that process with the loadout system.
Yeah,
but they did give up the interface where you use your hand thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I would have liked the hand thing, but like I said, it's just a lot quicker in this one with the loadouts, like you guys said. And I like it a little better. So the last bit of at least the single-player gameplay that I kind of want to talk about is all the collectibles on the map. The nice thing about Crysis is it's pretty open. The map, at least the area maps, they're pretty good size. They're open, and there's a lot. There's a good amount of like hidden items you can find, and they unlock just kind of nice little lore pieces and information about what's going on, and they're fun to collect. There's a lot of them, and I felt it added a little bit of replay value to it. If you want, I like collectibles. Anytime a game tells me there's collectibles, I try to find them all.
Yeah, which the collectibles can unlock anywhere from movies to sound music to, I think, like pictures and sound bites. And it was just nice with the collectibles that you can go around and you collect little bits of information about what's going on for that situation that you're in, which gave you backside to, oh, well, maybe I want to switch up my strategy for what's going on for a little bit different.
Yeah. Impressions? Your feelings on the collectibles?
The collectibles in general have been hit and miss for me. It really depends very much on the game. But considering that I didn't care enough about the story in 3 as it was, the collectibles really didn't do anything for me. So I didn't really. I mean, I picked it up if I ran into them, but for the most part, I didn't care about them in this game. I cared about them up in other games, like I said, as long as I liked the story.
Okay.
But I did occasionally you would find the power-ups. I mean, that's why I actually didn't mind looking around for stuff.
Yeah.
Because you would find the nanosuit upgrades. So those were cool. I mean, they weren't collectibles, but they were upgrades.
Yeah, but they're still. I still consider them this collectible area just because they are hidden on the map.
Okay, hidden items then that upgrade you, sure. But as far as the ones that gave a little backstory, I mean, if you like the story, yes, go for it. But if you were like me, didn't care about it, or just trying to speedrun through it, then it really won't add much to your experience.
Yeah. All right, and with that pretty much wraps up all the gameplay elements of Crysis. So
you want to cover the visor?
Oh yeah, that's right, the visor. I forgot about the visor. That's the other part of the suit. So the visor is very useful. It gives you night vision. You can mark enemies on the map if you put the thing over them for a certain amount of time. I'll mark them. So when you take off the visor, you can track them. which helps once again with the stealth elements of 3. I like the visor; it worked well.
Yeah, the visor came in really handy, especially just the normal nanosuit visor, which mark things. So, like marking arrows, marking weapon caches, marking enemies. It made it a lot easier so that you didn't have to go, well, I think it was that direction. No, you just mark it and it's there, and you can go, okay, well, I need to get over there, but there's 3 enemies to my right.
Yeah, well, I also like how you can hack from the visor, like turrets and stuff if you have the upgrades for it.
You gave it another function, aside from just spotting.
Well,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I keep saying about Crysis, one thing that really shines in this series is interface, and I really like how it looks too. That you can see everywhere, you can tag all your enemies. I like that you can mark where certain items and destination points are. It'll just remain on your screen as long as you tag it. And it made, again, it contributed to making stealth a little easier, or if you wanted to know where your enemies were, you could just always run up to them and kill them. Whichever playstyle you wanted to go for, the visor was it was good for either method.
Yep. All right. So now we're done with the gameplay that at least I can think of. So that brings us to the last part which I want to talk about, which is the multiplayer aspect. I was actually expecting an online pass for this one. It didn't, so I played it. Impressions thought it had an online pass, so he didn't play it.
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, so shame on you, EA, for not getting on this one.
Yes. And then Synyster bought the game, so he didn't care. He got access to it no matter what.
That's where I've been sitting most of my time since I finished playing the game.
So with that, multiplayer, I did the normal, team deathmatch, and then a game called Hunters, which is is it just? I never understood Hunters.
It's called Hunter mode. It's basically six on 2.
Yeah.
You have
okay.
two hunters, which are just nanosuit techs, and then you have 6 cell agents. Basically, the situation is that they get shot down by the suits, crash, and they're waiting for evac. So you've got a minute and a half to survive a round. If you get taken out, you become one of the nanosuits to take out the rest of the team, and you go, and it's 5 rounds.
Okay, that's how it worked. I wasn't sure because I knew when it started because I just thought it was one guy hunting everybody down, but then it seemed like there was more than one after some of my team got picked off. So now that makes sense because I actually died last.
Yeah, there was
awesome.
It's 2 suits versus six guys, and basically it's you trying to fend off of how long can you survive the basically minute and a half round.
And the suits, they're decked out like they are in game? Or what?
They've basically got armor, camo, and all they have access to is the bow.
Yeah.
And does camo render them completely invisible? Like you cannot see them, or can you see a faint silhouette?
If you catch it right, you can see them running or moving around. The best way I found was when I was playing as the cell, was I found a partial wall that was being shown with sun, and when the enemy would walk by, I would see a shadow, and I'm like, oh, yeah. There you are.
There you go. That's a good credit to the engine. No, that's
that's how I survived.
Subtle detail.
I found that couple of the maps, I found that I can grab a shield, find a corner with some sun, and I just sat there surviving rounds doing that.
Yes, I found some very useful.
That's good. That's a really nice little detail that they included in. So yeah, because I've played other games before where you have an invisibility mode, but it's practically useless as long as the players know how to see you.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well,
in this game, it's like the advantage for stealth works really well, but if you have that player that can spot that slight shimmer to the stealth, you're gone. Otherwise, everyone's like spazzing around looking for the enemy and just randomly shooting.
Yeah. So, but on the whole, multiplayer, I did enjoy Hunters. Team Deathmatch was
Were you all suits?
In Team Death, yeah.
That might be why.
Yeah. Team Deathmatch was
The whole point of Crysis is that you're the awesome one, but then you kind of take that away from you by making everybody the same.
Yeah. Synyster, what's your overall feelings on multiplayer?
I enjoy it. The Hunter Mode's my favorite by far. Led by what is it? I think it's called Towers, which is basically you're just capture the flag kind of deal.
Okay. But overall, you enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy
Okay.
it.
And then Impression has no opinion because he didn't play it. So
Yeah, I like what I heard. I commented.
yeah,
So
you
yeah,
did. But you don't get an opinion.
fine.
I'm taking it away from you. That's what you
Denied.
get.
Denied this week.
That's your opinion.
Yeah, it's
sure.
it's my opinion. You're denied an opinion. Okay, so with that, we're actually now going to go into our verdicts. For those of you who've never heard a Rule of 3 review before, we don't do a point system because numbers are arbitrary and I hate them because it involves math sometimes. So we do a buy, rent, pass. Buy means we think it's worth the, you know, $60, $40, $50, whatever the price is for the game.
The release price.
Yeah, the full release price. That's a buy, if we think it's good enough to warrant that. A rent means, you know, it's okay, it's good, it's worth playing, maybe not full price, like wait for it to go on sale or just rent it. Either one of those is, you know, where we're kind of at with it. And then pass means it was a complete waste of our time when the game should be burned in a fire. For me, it was a rent. Like I said, I couldn't get into the story. It made me not care about it as much. And then I do like the idea of the suit, but like I said, I'm not good at the stealth in this one, and I just didn't care. And other than the bow, I love the bow in this game. That's really the only highlight. And then multiplayer, like I said, other than Hunter's mode, from other ones I did was eh. So for me, it's a rent. Synyster.
For me, it's a rent only because the fact that it's kind of, I'd put as like a niche kind of game. It's not meant for everyone, but you know, those who just like, you know, shooters will enjoy it, but most people probably won't.
Impressions?
I'd also classify it as rent for slightly different reasons. I think it's a solid game. I really do not think, you know, it's bad by any means. But like I said, the story falls short from my personal, you know, enjoyment at least. It failed to draw me in enough. But I do believe that the gameplay is worth trying. So I recommend at least renting it. If you do want to own it, then wait till it gets lower. Because the interface, the gameplay, it is fun. But there's no motivation on my part, at least, to finish the story. So, rent.
All right, so there you have it. 3 rents.
Yeah, surprised. I thought JJ would, or I thought Synyster would be.
Give us the buy.
Yeah.
You never know with some of these people, you know, with us. Anyway, so 3 rents. That's it for this one. Although I do want to leave with one closing comment on this game, and I think we all can agree, just to make sure, say yes if I'm right. The game is pretty.
Yes. That's yeah.
It's the game that destroys computers.
Yes. So there you go. If anything else, you want a pretty game, go buy this game because it is gorgeous. So remember to, you know, subscribe to our channel if you like the video. Like us on Facebook, Twitter. Make sure to leave a comment below for an entry into our Injustice Gods Among Us giveaway that we're doing this month. Next week, Synyster is officially on vacation. I'm not bugging him anymore. So just be me and impressions for 2 weeks. Next week is God of War Ascension. Or no, next week's Tomb Raider. Following week is God of War. So next week is Tomb Raider. So keep an eye out for that. The written review should be up by the end of the night, all 3 of them, hopefully. Blame impressions if they're not. Usually the one that gets it up late. So thanks for listening, and always remember to trust in the rule of 3.